Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week, 20XX #1, a brand new debut from Image Comics. It's written and illustrated by Jonathan Luna, co-written by Laura Keeley. I absolutely loved this book. I thought it was really cool. Fair warning, this book is in black and white. I believe it is Jonathan Luna's first comic book he has ever done in black and white. This was a really cool story, a really cool concept, and very well executed. It was a great first issue. It completely engaged me. It had me hooked, character-wise, concept-wise, and I really liked the art. Even though it's black and white, I don't mind black and white. I really liked this one. I thought it was really cool. In the not-so-distant future in this book, what has happened is that there is a disease that attacks humans, and it kills 99% of the humans that catch it, right? But 1% of them survive, and they wind up with some kind of superhuman ability, some kind of form of telekinesis or something like that, right? It's similar to a lot of concepts that we've already seen even this year alone in comic books like Category Zero, but this one really executes itself very well, and it really focuses in on the characters. The character dynamic here is absolutely fantastic. The world that's being built, it's easy to understand. All the exposition is very fluid. It's a very exciting comic book, and it really ramps up to a very exciting ending that I really liked. Has really great artwork there, I'll tell you that. 20XX was something I definitely was not anticipating too much. I've never been super big of a fan of the Lunas, but Jonathan Luna and Laura Keeley really nailed this one. I absolutely loved it. It's a great concept, it's got some great themes, and the execution was just flawless. A great exposition, introduction to the characters and the world and the concept, everything about that. I really, really did like this book. So, if a black and white comic's not going to throw you off, and it shouldn't, because Walking Dead was one of the biggest selling comic books period for a while there, right? 20XX #1 from Image. I really liked it. It's got my seal of approval. I think it's got some interesting themes, a great concept, and great character work. Really loved it. 20XX #1, the pick of the week. But let's jump over to Marvel because we've got some Dawn of X books. In fact, from this point forward, we're going to get a lot of Dawn of X books. There's 3 this week, there's 3 next week, and the week after that, the 18th, which is going to be like the hugest new comic book day of the year. We got like 5 Dawn of X books. What? You're crazy. Maybe it's 5. Is it 4? Nope, it's 5. Holy crap. Anyway, XMen #3 is out this week. If you are looking for more information about the Xavier stuff, it's not happening yet. It's not happening yet. But what this is this is a really fun one-and-done story that will have ramifications for future issues of X books. That's exactly what the last issue was. I liked this one a lot. I think a lot of people are going to read this book and be like, Hickman, you've lost your mind. This is too silly. This is too stupid. I did not think that. I really just was in for it. I was sold by it. It's a crazy, strange concept. It's a little kooky. It's a little goofy, but I absolutely loved it. Little Francis Yu pumping out some of my favorite artwork from him in recent years. Sometimes I like his stuff, sometimes I don't. This is an instance where I really do like it. Lots of character work here, especially involving Cyclops, Jean, Emma. It's subtle. It's barely there, but you can pick up between the lines on some really intense things happening in Krakoa. Anyway, X-Men #3, I really liked it. It feels like after the big bang that was Hoxpox, a lot of these X books have kind of slowed down a little bit. I feel like that's made people kind of thrown back just a little bit. You're expecting X-Men to be a little bit more progressive, moving the story forward. I believe that right now what Hickman is doing is setting up things for the next act, basically. X-Men #3 sets up a lot of stuff as far as the character relationships go, but especially even just the story of this issue, the idea that humans are going to want to come for what the mutants have now. I can't wait till y'all read X-Men #3. I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to people about this because I think some people are going to be like bonkers mad about this issue, and I think other people are just going to like take the ride and enjoy it. I took the ride. I loved it. I loved it. X-Men #3. What do you think? No spoilers. Let me know in the comments down below. Marauders #3 is here. Not as exciting of an issue as 1 or 2. This one really takes a step back and puts the focus in on Sebastian Shaw. Now that we know who the new Red King is, so we got Emma, we got the new Red King, I'm trying not to spoil it, though it should be obvious, and of course Sebastian Shaw is the new Black King, they all now have to come out and pick their bishops, right? So this is about Sebastian Shaw trying to pick his new black bishop, and I really liked it. I thought it was solid. I thought it was strong. I think it's a different artist, Michelle Mandini. I don't think that's the same art. The art looks a little bit different. It's not as good as the first 2 issues. It doesn't really focus on Kate at all whatsoever. I've been loving Marauders. It's been one of my absolute favorite X books out right now. Issue number 3 was a little bit of a step back, but I really did like the focus in on Sebastian Shaw. If you've been liking this book, just have some patience. I think there's a lot of stuff that's revealed in this book that's going to have a lot to do with what's coming up in the pages of Marauders, and of course some of the other Dawn of X books, because Sebastian Shaw also makes a cool appearance in X-Men number 3. Excalibur number 3 is here. Issue number 1 wasn't sold on. Issue number 2 I really did like. Issue number 3 kind of back to not being super sold on this book. I like the concept. I like Betsy being Captain Britain. I love having Jubilee there with her kid. I love even having Gambit there. Now Richter finally makes his appearance. We've been waiting for that. But this book's been a really slow burn. It hasn't been as interesting as the other Dawn of X books, at least for me. To me, this is the weakest one. And issue 3 is another reason why. Marcus Toe's artwork is amazing. Tinny Howard's doing a great job with the concepts involved in the story. I just don't feel like the story is that exciting to me. It has nothing to do with the writing or the art. I like the writing and I like the art. I just don't like the direction of the book. It's just not that interesting, and it should be that interesting to me. It's about mutant magic, right? And it's about Apocalypse. And the Apocalypse stuff is still engaging and a little intriguing, but Excalibur to me so far is the weakest one. 3 issues in, it's definitely the weakest one in for me. Annihilation Scourge rolls right on through. So we had the Alpha one-shot. We had... No, all we've had is the Alpha one-shot, right? Yeah, so now it's going to break into these one-shots. Nova, Fantastic Four, which both of those are out today. Next week, Beta Ray Bill and Silver Surfer. Then it's going to wrap up in an Omega special on that giant super day. That's going to be December 18th. Well, there's going to be a lot of comic books that day, I'm telling you. Anyway, Annihilation Scourge Nova really kind of takes the main gist of the story, and the idea is it's kind of like a retread of Annihilation just a little bit, but there's a greater threat out there that Annihilus now needs help from Earth and Earth's heroes, so he goes to get help from Nova, Richard Rider, right? This was a really fun issue. I really liked it. I didn't like the Alpha one that much. Matthew Rosenberg wrote this one as well, and one of the things I didn't really like about the opening issue is it didn't really explain a lot. It just kind of all was like muddy, and it just happened all of a sudden, and Nova's characterization for me felt a little off. All of that is really ironed out and explained in this issue. A whole lot of explanation. If you haven't read Annihilation or Conquest or War of Kings, Realm of Kings, whatever, if you haven't kept up with all this Marvel Cosmic stuff, this is the issue that's going to get you caught up. I love the explanation for where Nova is in his journey right now and why. I thought that was good. I thought there was great character work in here. Some really funny moments in Annihilation Scourge Nova. These are all going to be one-shots and tie up together. So the way this story's breaking down is the main story is the one-shot, and it does legitimately continue into all these other one-shots. You get different sides of the story, and it's all going to come together in the last one, kind of a little bit like how the original Annihilation book was, which has an omnibus hardcover edition out today, by the way, so definitely check that out if you haven't. It's a great Cosmic Marvel book. So that book was kind of told through a series of miniseries, and this is a story told through a series of one-shots. So I kind of like how it's throwing back a little bit to the old school Annihilation, but it's definitely quick. It's going to get to its point a lot sooner. It's not going to be as dynamic or as effective, in my opinion, but I really liked the Nova issue. I thought it was good. I also liked the Fantastic Four issue. I was not looking forward to Annihilation Scourge at all after reading the one-shot. Like I said, I felt like it was just kind of muddy. It all kind of happened at once. It didn't really explain itself. This was great. So in this one, you got Annihilus going after Nova, trying to get help. In this one, some refugees from the Negative Zone come in and try to get the Fantastic Four's help. And this deals with some personal issues for the Fantastic Four, in particular, Reed Richards and Johnny Storm, because Johnny Storm, if you remember in the Jonathan Hickman days, was killed and brought back to life and killed and brought back to life multiple times by Annihilus and his army, and eventually Johnny Storm took over the army of Annihilus and then was eventually voted off. And the people he freed from Annihilus actually elected Annihilus to be their new leader after Johnny Storm. Anyway, it really deals with some of that stuff, and I like that. I don't always like it when people just leave things out there dangling, you know. Johnny Storm went through a major ordeal when he was trapped in the negative zone in Jonathan Hickman's run, so it's nice to see that get reflected in a book like this. I really like it. I think if you're a Cosmic Marvel fan, these are definite pickups, and even though I didn't like the Scourge Alpha one-shot so much, I'm actually looking back and seeing the stack right there and thinking I'm going to reread it, because I really liked these two one-shots. I thought they were good. Matthew Rosenberg wrote this one. Christos Gage wrote that one. It's pretty decent. Conan Serpent War debuts this week. It's the first part of a 5-issue series. It's bringing together some of Robert Howard's characters. Solomon Kane, Dark Agnes. Is that her name? Dark Agnes? Is it Dark Agnes or is it Red Agnes? Conan, Solomon Kane, and... yes, Dark Agnes. So, we've talked about this already on the weekly pop culture wrap-up. Conan, Solomon Kane, Dark Agnes, and Moon Knight against the Serpent set, right? The big serpent god, right? It was okay. It really wasn't my kind of cup of tea. I'm not really typically a huge Conan fan, so I don't really have a connection to these characters. I do like Moon Knight. The Moon Knight stuff in here was okay, I guess. This book just kind of didn't do much for me. Even though I'm not a Conan fan, I'm really respecting what Jason Aaron's doing with that character right now. But Serpent War just didn't do anything for me. I think that this is tied into a lot of some previous stuff from the Howard verse, the Conan verse, whatever you want to call it. So I think old school Conan fans might kind of get into this, but you know, when Marvel regained the licensing to Star Wars, I was really expecting a Star Wars Avengers crossover at some point sometime soon. It never happened. I'm very proud of Marvel for that. But they really did not waste any time putting Conan back into the Marvel Universe, right? And that's kind of annoying to me. But I'm not the hugest Conan fan, so it's not going to bother me too much. Anyway, Conan Serpent War. That's out this week. Amazing Spider-Man number 35 is here. This book is lackluster. It's boring. I'm not into it at all. This 2099 stuff, I was very, very excited for it. I was a huge fan of 2099 when I was growing up. I mean, in 92, 93, I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. I was the prime ripe age to love stuff like Spider-Man 2099 and especially Doom 2099. Lots of Doom focus on some Marvel Comics here lately that has just not been doing it for me. I don't like the characterization. I don't like this story. I don't like what's going on. My anticipation, my expectations have not been met. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why I'm not enjoying it as much. This has I don't know. This issue just kind of bored me, didn't really do much for me. And ultimately, we got this big 2099 story, and the one-shots are not tied into the Spider-Man book hardly at all. And the main gist of it's not giving me what I want. I mean, you got Doom involved, you got the future being manipulated and changed and all that kind of stuff, but the book itself just feels like a mediocre Spider-Man book. It's kind of pissing me off. Nick Spencer started off really strong on this book, and it's really kind of been fading out for me ever since. But anyway, Amazing Spider-Man number 35 is here, continuing the 2099 story. But I don't know. I'm not liking it. Venom 2099. So these one-shots, we got the Ghost Rider and the Venom out this week. We've already chatted about this, about how because of events in Spider-Man, I guess the future of 2099 is completely different. It's not the 2099 that we know and love from back in the 90s. So it's a complete new reinterpretation of 2099. That's fine. Whatever, right? Let's just give me some good books. Venom 2099 was a good book. It's a new origin for a new Venom in 2099. It's a woman. This is the first appearance of a new character. It's really cool. I liked it. I liked this a lot. I thought it was very fun. Jodie Hauser did a great job of not really bogging it down too much. It felt very loose. It felt very free. It flowed very well. It was action-packed. It was very intriguing. And I really like the ending, and it does tie in a little bit to what Kate's ideas about Venom are. I wouldn't bet too much into it, but I would like... I don't know. It seems like these are all test runs. They're like pilots. Like, what 2099 books do you guys want to see? Seems like Venom to me right now is the winner. Of course, we get Spider-Man and Doctor Doom next week, right? The Ghost Rider 2099 one-shot. I thought it was better than the Punisher one. I thought it was better than the Fantastic Four one. It was kind of on par, I guess, with the Conan one. And maybe Conan was slightly better. I would go Venom, Conan, then this. Ghost Rider's okay. It gets back to the idea of that city or that section of the world where it's all just one big road, and if you stop, you die, and all kinds of stuff like that. It's a new origin for Ghost Rider, completely different, kind of tied in a little bit to some Johnny Blaze stuff that Ed Brisson's been kind of working out with 2 issues of Ghost Rider. I don't know. This felt kind of just disconnected, didn't really care about it. I just, you know, I know that the 2099 stuff from the 90s was not honestly that good, except for the Warren Ellis Doom 2099 bits. So maybe this is just my attachment to that era of comics, that nostalgia, but I'm just not liking these reinterpretations. I really like the original Ghost Rider 2099 better. Maybe it has something to do with the foil cover. If they would have given me a foil cover, maybe I would like these books a little bit better. Thor the Worthy, it's a one-shot. So Marvel's celebrating 80 years. They've been bringing back these one-shots to bring back creative teams that were basically legendary creative teams on those books. With Thor, that's what they're doing here. This is a decently fun issue. It's all right. It's got a story, first of all, by Walt Simonson that focuses in on Sith and Beta Ray Bill. So old school 80s Thor fans, that's one of the best Thor runs. Walt Simonson, you definitely want to check that out. Then you got Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends doing a Thunderstrike story. Boy, did that take me back. And then at the end, you get Catherine Ammonen and Tom Riley doing a story about Jane Foster's Thor. And I thought all three stories were decent, but nothing that's going to change your life. Nothing that's going to be like, wow, I got to read the Walt Simonson Thor now. I really got to read Thunderstrike now. You don't really need to read Thunderstrike no matter what, but it holds a special place in my heart. But the Walt Simonson run is amazing, so this is, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Those super hardcore Thor fans, you definitely want to check that out. That's what I would say. Doctor Doom number 3 is here. So it's written by Christopher Cantwell. Christopher Cantwell writes some really good books, including Everything, which has a new issue out this week. We'll talk about that later. The Doctor Doom has not really been working so well for me. I am incredibly attached to the character of Victor Von Doom, so I don't like it when he eats potato chips. I can deal with Doom eating a taco. The potato chips was Bendis. That was from the Iron Man run, infamous Iron Man. But he doesn't eat potato chips in here. In the last issue, he ate like a taco or whatever. The Morgan Le Fay characterizations got me way thrown off. It's not right. It's not good enough. This is kind of just like a sad Doom. And I don't know, like, I like a nuanced story that lets me know a little bit about the heartbreak and tragedy that's involved in Victor Von Doom's life. But I don't like it when it's so forced, as this run feels. I'm obviously down for the ride. I don't think this book's going to last too much longer. But Christopher Cantwell, Salvador Larroca, Guru Effects, Doctor Doom, it's decent. It's okay. It's okay. Another reason why maybe villains shouldn't have, you know, their own books. I don't know. But Doctor Doom's okay. I mean, basically, he's been framed for some kind of international terrorist event, and he's trying to prove himself innocent, and I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. Daredevil number 14 is here. I'm really liking this book. I think it's amazing. The only problem with this issue right here is that the artwork gets a little inconsistent because it switches from Chiquetto to someone completely different in the middle, then goes back to Chiquetto. Anyway, that being said, I really like the themes that are being explored here by Chip Zdarsky, the writer, Matt Murdock, that Detective Cole or whatever. I really like that stuff. Some interesting things going on with the Kingpin. I really like this book. It's a return to your typical Daredevil fare. I didn't really like the Charles Soule run, so I think Zdarsky's been doing a great job. I think Daredevil's been one of Marvel's strongest titles this year, especially for a book that doesn't have X in its title. But Daredevil number 14 is very cool, very decent. It really progresses the story forward, and I really like the themes and relationships that Zdarsky and company are building up in the pages of Daredevil. Number 14 out this week. Let's jump on over to DC. Justice League number 37 is here. We got 2 more issues after this in Scott Snyder's Justice League run. It keeps building up, it keeps amping up, and now maybe we have a glimmer of hope. Possibly. But we know that whatever glimmer of hope they're giving us here in this issue or in the next 2, it's all going to go away when the Batman Who Laughs has his day and Luthor gets his revenge and the crisis happens or whatever is going to happen, right? But anyway, Justice League number 37, big, bombastic, giant, fantastic stuff. Jorge Jimenez back on the artwork. There are 2 double-page spreads near the beginning of this that are just so fun, and it makes the child in me just shout with joy. I've been loving what Snyder's plan and vision for Justice League has been over the last year and a half, 2 years. I cannot wait to see how it wraps up and what it builds up into even further into 2020. Justice League number 37, big cosmic superhero action. I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much. Batman number 84 is here. This is the penultimate issue of Tom King's Batman run. So if you don't like Tom King's Batman, have no fear. One more issue and you're back home, my friends. Anyway, I have been liking Tom King's Batman run. It is very inconsistent. I understand people's problems with it. People's problem with this book mostly are the same problems that I have with it. But then every once in a while it really shines forward. This issue is another big explaino issue. It does some neat things structurally. And this issue basically explains why Thomas Wayne is doing what Thomas Wayne is doing. And it's something we've already kind of pieced together. We've already read between the lines for 84 issues, and we kind of know what's going on. But now Tom King is like, I only got 2 issues left, so let me just go ahead and lay it out for you. This is why Thomas Wayne is the way he is. So I thought it was a decent issue. It wasn't one of the best at all, but it does explain a lot, and it's interesting. It sets up the big final confrontation and the end of Tom King's Batman run. And no matter what we, as individuals, think of Tom King's Batman run, it's going to be a memorable run, is it not? Green Lantern Black Stars is here with issue number 2 of 3, a mini-series cemented right in between Green Lantern Season 1 and Green Lantern Season 2. Basically, because a lot of people I know have been jumping in on here and are super confused about what's happening, in the Green Lantern Season 1 book, at the end of the book, Hal was kind of manipulated and forced by the controllers. He's like undercover. He uses the Miracle Machine, which is something from Final Crisis. He remakes the universe. There has never been a Green Lantern Corps, right? So in this book, that's why it's so weird. That's why it's so different. In this book, he is now a member of the Black Stars, right? Really like it. Beelzebeth, the psychic energy vampire right here. A big origin story for her. I really liked it. I thought this was great. It has a lot of Grant Morrison's. I believe that Grant Morrison says a lot about the current state of the comic book community in the first few pages of Green Lantern Black Stars #1. I'm liking it. I'm loving it, but this is not something that you can read without having read what came before. Grant Morrison's kind of like that. You can't just jump in the middle. You're going to be super confused. Don't worry. Most of us that have been down from day one are still super confused. That's just the ride Grant Morrison takes us on, and I enjoy the hell out of it. Green Lantern Black Stars #2 out this week. Year of the Villain, The Infected. The Deathbringer #1. Yet another mediocre, boring origin story for one of the new Infected, right? So Joker, the Batman Who Laughs. The Joker version of Batman, right? The Batman Who Laughs has infected 6 superheroes with his toxin, or 6 heroes with his toxin, one of them being Donna Troy. These books have been okay. This explains exactly how Donna Troy got infected by the Batman Who Laughs. But it was boring, it was unnecessary, and I didn't care. And that's kind of been what I felt like with the Scarab issue, and with the King Shazam issue, and probably with the next few issues. But I guess I'll still read them. Maybe one of them will be really good, but this is completely unnecessary and boring. I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. New Year's Evil, #1. This is a big, giant one-shot. DC likes doing these holiday-themed, holiday-centric one-shots that have a lot of cool talent on them. New Year's Evil is a holiday, winter, Christmas, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve type thing, focusing in on villains. The big spotlight here, my friends, is Ram V's Black Adam book. It's basically Black Adam versus Santa Claus. Oh my god, I loved it. I loved it so much. Sumit Kumar also draws the Sinestro story in here. That's really cool. And Dan Waters wrote one, when I read it, what was it? Can't remember. Oh, it's Ares. Dan Waters does a pretty decent Ares Wonder Woman story, but for me, it was the Ram V Black Adam versus Santa Claus story. I loved it. Vita Ayala's on here with the Harley Quinn story. Some really cool talent in here. Gabriel Hardman, he does a really good Joker story, actually. Philip Kennedy Johnson writes that Sinestro story that Sumit Kumar, who is the artist of These Savage Shores, that he did. Kurt Busiek's on here. Christos Gage. Pretty fun stuff. It's decent. It's cool. It's kind of a small, light and lackluster week, so why not pick it up? If you're a big fan of Dan Waters, Sumit Kumar, and Ram V, and Vita Ayala like I am, I highly recommend that you check it out. Some fun little fun stories. Young Justice #11 is here, and this book is so wearing thin on me. If I hadn't heard the news recently that David F. Walker was jumping in to co-write this book with Bendis, I probably would have dropped this at this issue. This book's kind of boring. Young Justice meets Naomi, so that's kind of cool, but it just retreads a bunch of shit that we already knew about. So it didn't really give me anything new or interesting, so I don't know. Bendis is losing me. Not everything he's doing at DC is losing me, but a lot of it right now is, and Young Justice is one of those things. And I was so excited for this book to come back because I loved Young Justice when I was younger. I love Connor Kent. I love that version of Superboy. I love Tim Drake. He's my favorite Robin. Why has Bendis got to ruin it all? Anyway, Young Justice #11 is out this week. Here's a book by Bendis at DC that I absolutely adore. It's Batman Universe, the 6th issue, which is the final issue. This is the book that him and artist Nick Darrington did for the DC 100-page Walmart exclusive specials. I really like this. This book has seen Batman go across time, across the universe, all in search of this this White Lantern ring. It's been really fun. Nick Darrington's artwork seals it. This is a very Bendis-y book, but in the best way possible. I think that this is the best superhero stuff that Bendis has done at DC, is Batman Universe. So maybe we need to get him on Batman. No, we don't need that. I don't know. We just need him to iron out his Superman mess right now. Which started off strong, because I've been revisiting. But it's been weak. I don't know, whatever. Speaking of those DC 100-page giants, we got a World's Finest, Batwoman and Supergirl 100-page giants. Got some new material in it, got some old material in it. Haven't gotten a chance to flip through it yet, but I really do enjoy these 100-page specials. It's a nice way to get some new content, have a fun light read at times, revisit some old titles in a new light, and when you're done with it, I usually just kind of pass these off because it's really cool content that could possibly get someone into superhero comics, and that's something that we all need, right? Let's jump over to the indies, because that's where I think the strongest books of the week are. We already talked about 20XX. Let's go jump over to Mad Cave. Over the Ropes #1 drops this week. Over the Ropes #1 is a book set in the 90s. It deals with the world of professional wrestling. It's written by a friend of mine, Jay Sandlin. I had him on the channel about a month or two ago. Check out that video, me and Jay Sandlin talking about this book. This book is fantastic. It's great. If you're local, if you're in the North Alabama area, this Wednesday at 3 p.m. he will be at the Deep Comics and Games signing copies of this book. I really liked it. I don't think that any wrestling fan that's into comic books is going to want to miss this book. I think it's really good. It's got great characterization. It's got a great story. It's really infectious. It's got great artwork. It's really good. I really liked it. Over the Ropes #1 by Jay Sandlin, with artwork by Antonello Castino and Justin Birch on the lettering. Birch is a great letterer. The art's clean. It's concise. I'll show you some of the artwork right here. I really like this book. I thought it was good. Like I said, if you're a big fan of wrestling, there's no reason why you don't want to see this. But like Jay said when he was here in the studio chatting with me, this is not so much a book about wrestling as it is a book about dreams and about people and the dreams that they have. And this is really cool. The basic plot of this book is a wrestler gets a chance to shine one night, and he goes against the grain and becomes superstar because of it. And now it's just this whole thing. This book is well researched. It's got great dialogue. It's well thought out. Over the Ropes #1. Do not miss that this week. Really cool stuff. From Boom Studios, we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. This is a really fun crossover. It's also got tons of alternate covers, variant covers. That's what I was like, what are they called? They're called variant covers. It's got a ton of variant covers. It's got the turtles holding the Red Ranger's helmet. There's one for each turtle. I, of course, had to pick up the Michelangelo. That's my favorite turtle. Let me know in the comments below, who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? It's kind of like a personality test in a way, right? Anyway, this book was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. The reason for the crossover connection between the Turtles and the Power Rangers, I loved. I loved it so much. Old school Power Ranger fans are really going to like this, and I guarantee you this is going to be better than the Turtles Next Mutation Power Rangers crossover. I absolutely loved it. The artwork was fire. It's dynamic. It's really fun. I really enjoyed this book. The characters rang true. Like I said, the situation that sets up the crossover, I was really on board with. So I was really cool and pleased with this. And it's written by Ryan Parrott, who is the writer of Power Rangers right now, and he's just killing it. Also from Boom this week, Strange Skies over East Berlin #3. A fantastic issue. This is a great issue. This book has been really fun. Basically, this alien ship, or at least what we assume is an alien ship, lands somewhere over the Berlin Wall back in the 70s. It's about espionage. It's about the otherworldly, the unknown. It's about the secrets that we hold inside of all of us. Jeff Loveness, Lissandro Esterin, Patricio Del Peche, doing an absolutely fantastic job. I love the artwork. I love the themes. The themes were really good in issue #1 and 2, but in issue #3, it really gets character, like specific. It gets nuanced. It gets deep. Really good stuff. Strange Skies over East Berlin #3, probably the best issue, and one of the best issues of the week. I'm loving this book. Boom. They're making their strong case for Publisher of the Year. You know, Comics with Bueller just asked who our favorite Publishers of the Year was. I guess I got to get on that video, and which releases this soon in a couple days, and let him know what I think. That's where I'll make my official announcement. Maybe he'll give me a shout out in his next video. Ghosted in LA #6 is out this week. I absolutely love this book. Another book. Everybody's talking about Boom this year. Something is Killing the Children, Strange Skies over East Berlin, Once and Future, Heartbeat, the upcoming Red Mother, which most people haven't even read yet, but it's already really getting hyped up. Folklords, Don't sleep on Ghosted in LA. I love this book. It's about a woman who goes to college in LA. She gets dumped by her boyfriend first thing, and the only friends that she can find is like a hotel full of haunted ghosts. It's fantastic stuff. Haunted ghosts? Are there any other kind of ghosts? Well, these ghosts, well, that actually makes sense because the ghosts themselves are haunted by their pasts. Right? That makes sense. Anyway, Ghost in LA, great character work, one of the best books on shelves. Don't sleep on it. It's one of the sleeper hits of the year. Dead Eyes #3 is here from Image Comics, formerly known as Dead Rabbit. I have now gotten caught back up on Dead Eyes. I read Dead Rabbit #1 and 2 when it initially came out, so I thought I would just be able to jump right in when issue #3 jumped in. No, not at all. I had to reread 1 and 2, but I do like this book. I like it a lot. It hasn't barely changed at all, just the title, Dead Rabbit to Dead Eyes. I like the story. It's about this dude. He used to be like a super thief, right? He retired. Everybody thinks that he ripped off millions of dollars from this mobster, including the mobster. It didn't actually happen. He's been trying to take care of his sick wife now for years. Things have gotten really bad. Now he has to jump back into the life 20 years later because he's just overwhelmed with life and medical bills and stuff like that. But, of course, it's not going to be an easy jump back into the life. Dead Eyes #3 by Gary Duggan, John McCrae and company. I absolutely loved it. Thought it's a fantastic continuation of a great series. Dark Ark After the Flood #2. I loved Dark Ark. Basically, the evil Noah's Ark. So Noah's Ark was put out there by God to save all the creatures during the biblical flood. The Dark Ark was put out there by Satan to save all the monsters, right? So at the end of Dark Ark, which has a hardcover omnibus edition coming up this month, so definitely check that out. Dark Ark After the Flood, how do we continue? How do we continue after the first series? It was amazing 15 issues that really had a definitive end to the story, but Cullen Bunn, Wando and company really have engaged my interest yet again. I really like the direction of the sequel, of the second part of the story. I'm really liking it. It's focusing in on Shrey's kid now, revealing a lot about her origin and why she's so special, where she comes from, and setting up this new conflict of her having to deal with the world post-flood. I really like this book. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's super fantastic that it's back. Issue #2 is out from Aftershock Comics. Also out from Aftershock Comics this week, Midnight Vista #4, an absolutely fantastic book by Elliot Rahal with artwork by Clara Meath. I love this book so much. It's about a kid who gets abducted by aliens. Years later, he comes back and the men in black are after him. The government's after him. All kinds of people are after him. He's on the lam. He's trying to just hide and find like some help wherever he can. I am super into, especially now, if you've been watching the Teen Dog Shades live streams, I'm really big into alien abduction stories and stuff like that. This is kind of based on an actual experience that Elliot Rahal had, though I hope he didn't have quite this experience. But it's very interesting. It's really cool. I like the artwork. I like the characters. I like the story. This book has been so much fun. I'm loving it. Midnight Vista #4 continues that hypeness. That hype train. Everything. #4 is here. This book is so damn weird. It's written by Christopher Cantwell, who's also writing that Dr. Doom book. This book is amazing. It's basically about this store called Everything. Imagine it like a super Walmart, right? Shows up in the town and weird things start happening. Very strange noises. Strange things start happening to people. There's a lot that gets explained in issue #4 because issues 1, 2, and 3 were all about atmosphere and tone, and hardly about understanding what the hell was actually going on. In issue #4, you really start understanding a little bit about what's going on, but not quite fully. This book is mysterious, it's engaging, it's surreal, and like I said, it hits that tone that it's just so perfect. I love everything. Everything #4 is out this week from Dark Horse Comics. Also out from Dark Horse, we got a couple new ones. The Butcher of Paris, Nazi-controlled Paris, back in the 40s, and there's a serial killer on the loose, right? Seems like an interesting idea. Seems like you should have a lot of fun with that. This issue, though, didn't really do much with it. It's a cool concept, but it just kind of meandered around a little bit till it finally got to its point. It just didn't really do much for me. I love that cover by Dave Johnson. That cover right there is probably the cover of the week. However, what came between the covers, I just couldn't get behind. Didn't really like it. Didn't really appeal to me. It was okay, I guess. Kill Whitey Donovan is another one from Dark Horse this week. This one's written by Sidney Duggan, Natalie Brohona on the artwork. This one was okay. It's set during the Civil War. It's about a woman who decides she doesn't want to be what her father wants to be, so she's going to go and and find her friend who's a slave, and they're going to try to run off and escape or something like that. But it was very muddy, it was very clumsy, it was very all over the place. It never engaged me, it never grabbed me. On the outside, I like the concept of both of these books, but the execution just was not there for me. From Stonebot Comics, Angela De La Morte. So I got this book. I'm not even really familiar with this company or anything, so I figured I'd check it out because I opened it up and I'm like, wow, I really, really like this artwork. I really like this artwork. That was all I really liked about it. It's got an interesting story. At some point, humanity figures out how to pinpoint everything that makes us bad people, and they can remove it. And then you have this astronaut. She's on the moon, and the moon gets attacked, and she has to go to the secret place. I don't know. It's kind of all over the place. Story-wise, didn't make too much sense to me. It had some interesting ideas, but it never really executed it very properly, at least in my opinion. I love the artwork, though. The artwork was very striking, very cool. Unfortunately, the story just did not engage me whatsoever. From the Archie horror books, we have Vamp Veronica New Blood #1, continuing the story and saga of Vamp Veronica, which is a vampire version of Veronica, right? From Archie. As simple as it gets. Anyway, so the first one was by Greg Smallwood and Company, and that was pretty decent. Then her story moved over to Vamp Veronica versus Jughead the Hunger. Frank Thierry took over the story for just a little bit. Frank Thierry has written this one as well as Michael Morisi. Michael Morisi is a fantastic writer, so I was really excited to see this one. Probably one of my favorite published Archie horror books going on right now, story-wise, is Vamp Veronica. I really wish we could get Sabrina and Afterlife with Archie back soon. That would be cool, right? Anyway, Vault fans definitely take a look out for this one, because not only is Michael Morisi the co-writer, Audrey Mock is the artist. Audrey Mock, the artist of Sarah and the Royal Stars. So the art was really cool. I really liked the story. It was cool. It was neat. It was interesting. I liked it a lot. So there you go. And finally, let's talk about from Dynamite, James Bond. James Bond #1, a brand new James Bond story written by Vita Ayala and Danny Lore. They are best friends, and I'm so excited to see them working together on James Bond. I met Vita last month in Memphis. They told me how much they love James Bond and how excited they are for this book, so I was very excited to get into it. Not as much James Bond in this book as I was expecting. Most of this book is very, very expertly through really well-crafted dialogue explaining the world of art crime. Like people that like fake paintings and heist paintings and stuff like that, right? So that's a world that Bond's not going to be super familiar with. So before Bond gets fully engaged with the overall plot of this story, there's a lot of explaining to do, and I think they did it very, very well. Lore and Ayala are two amazing writers coming up. Really loving their work. Queen of Bad Dreams, Morbius. I got my copy of The Wilds coming. I'm very excited for that one. Prisoner X was a great one by Ayala from the Age of X-Men. So really excited to see where this book is going to go. It's got a great opening sequence. Amazing stuff. It's got one of the best double-page spreads in comic books this year. I did like it, but seriously, be warned, not a lot of James Bond in this issue. But bear with it, because there's a lot of explaining about the art world, and usually that amount of setting up and world building something like that has a payoff. So I'm really excited to see where this book is going to go. James Bond #1 out this week. So that's what I read. That's what I thought about it. I was kind of thankful for a little bit of a light week, especially because, like I said, the 18th is going to kill us this week. This month, so get ready for it. Anyway, what are you reading? What are you excited for? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.